This is Mission Qualfon, a monthly podcast that takes you inside the workings of our company, but not just the ins and outs of business. We look at the ideas and insights that make Qualfon truly unique. As a company, we are committed to being the best and making each person's life better. Join us as we get to know and learn from people from across the organization. What's their story? What have they learned? And how do they live out Qualfon's mission? Welcome to Mission Qualfon.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hi, Marisol. Episode 10 today.
I am so grateful, so excited. I'm realizing a dream I didn't even know I had with this episode, with this podcast, because I was just telling you off mic, we hit 1,000 downloads prior to this episode being published, which again, it's a BPO podcast and none of us are famous. So I'm taking that as a win.
Yes.
You know, I looked at the stats. I saw India. We have listeners in India. Welcome, India. I know that we just moved into a new space in India, and we have an international successful BPO podcast. And I'm thrilled. And we get to talk about things like we're going to talk about on this podcast.
So Marisol, at the very beginning of this podcast, we were putting together the names of people we wanted to interview. And from the beginning, our guest today was on this list. And so I'm super excited that we have her today. And today we'll be talking with Maricarmen Gonzalez, who is the wife of our founder, Alfonso Gonzalez. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation today.
Yes. And I'm ecstatic to introduce our audience to her. I like to describe her as the heart of this, living, breathing organism we call the Qualfon mission.
I do want to say really quick before we run the interview that the audio is not great in some places, but the content was so good, we wanted to make sure we used it.
Yes, we didn't want to even risk trying to retape it because we felt that it was just such a special moment that we had with her.
Yes.
Well, Jeremy, before we even get to the interview, I think we have to take some time, you and I, and kind of prepare our audience for the content, because at least from my personal experience in corporate America, I can't speak for other cultures and other nations. The content we're going to talk about, it's not the norm, and, it can make some people uncomfortable. So I thought it would probably be good if you and I have a little discussion about it.
Yeah, I think talking about spirituality, making references to religion and things like that, not something that we hear a lot of, but I think it's important that we hear this, because this speaks to who Maricarmen is and who Alfonso is, and as the founders of our company. I think it's important for us to understand where they are coming from. But there are some terms that, at least in our culture here in the United States, are not common terms. Things like consecration and total vocation, and some of these words that Maricarmen will use and we'll talk about. I think it makes sense for us to kind of just set people up and so that they'll be prepared to hear this, because to your point, in a BPO podcast, this might not be what you're expecting to hear.
No, but it's what makes us so incredibly unique. And I just think some conversations need to be a conversation. Qualfon wears their spirituality on their sleeve. It's in our literature. It is part of our culture. And, I'd like to offer a story to kind of share, how I wrapped my head around all of this. Coming from a BPO background, coming from working in the United States. So for those who might not know, because we do have an international audience, the United States has a separation of church and state. So it's really part of our culture, I would say. Is that a fair statement? I don't want to speak.
No, totally.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. So I'm going to be honest. I had never heard of Qualfon. There was about 8 years of my life where I was not involved in anything BPO related, and I never really thought I was going to come back to work in the BPO industry. I had been married to someone, and we had started our own company almost around the same time that Qualfon started. Unlike her and her husband, we ended up in a divorce. Mm-hmm. And I just never thought I was coming back to BPO. There's 8 years of time that my life imploded on me. It was completely single mom, 3 kids. And to make a very long story short, I took those 8 years, unbeknownst to me, that I was going to end up working at Qualfon, a company that wants someone to find their total vocation. I had said, I want to figure this thing out. I wanted to find, I wasn't even looking for happiness. I was like, I just want peace. I want to have this experience. I don't know. The only thing I can think of is like a Star Trek episode. I was going to try to be like a cyborg. And if my marriage like blew my life up, I was going to rebuild, and I was going to rebuild better. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to episode 1, where, we talk with Mike Mara, our CEO, and we talk about that mentorship, one of the things he taught me was always to look at the data. I have to give him that credit. And so I find myself in a divorce. I find myself not wanting to return to anything remotely associated with BPO. And again, not because of the BPO industry, because of the way my marriage ended. I went on this quest, and it took me to India, actually. I don't know if this is true now, but at the time, Harvard had their curriculum online for free. Mm-hmm. And there was an actual class taught about, I think it was titled Happiness, but it was about data. They did data and research. We talk about this also in Qualfon, Maslow's theory. I was just searching. I was searching for something. That's when I started. I helped start a nonprofit. I helped because I wanted to serve. I was throwing like everything at the kitchen sink. I was looking for anything and anything that would help me grow and evolve. And I joined, my mother was in hospice for a while. I reached out to Mike. It was just a tough time in my life, and he invited me to come back to work for Qualfon. And so up until this point, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just trying to share my story, was I had marginalized Qualfon in my head. And when I heard any kind of spiritual content or read about the mission, I thought it was great and wonderful. I thought the people I'd met were nice and wonderful, but I didn't have, my heart wasn't open to buy into it. I thought it was a cultural thing. I marginalized it as it's a, Mexican-owned company, and that's how they present themselves. I feel bad saying that, but I might not be unique in that experience. Mm-hmm. It was at Summit, the switch flipped for me. And it was at the very beginning, there was an opening prayer, and they had a bishop, they had a reverend, they had a Hindu, they had a yogi. I believe they tried to include every faith they could possibly include, and those of no faith. They were trying to be so utterly inclusive that at that moment is when I bought into the mission, which makes me feel really awful. But it's the truth, because it's where I understood and I was comfortable with them discussing spirituality. It's sort of like I had to learn for myself that no one was trying to convert me. You have Alfonso and his wife come up, and after that I was done. I was completely done. By the time I left Summit, I was like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And that's even how I shared both details about me doing podcasting and about my nonprofit with the executive team, because I was like, I wanted to open up this conversation as best I could. Right. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, all the pieces in my personal life, I could not have created this story, that I'm here. I don't want to say the word promote because that doesn't do it justice. I'm here. It's like, I want people to hear how this company is different and special, and how maybe it inspires other companies to do the same. It inspires anyone to try to live their best life. But yeah, that's how I feel. Episode 10 is like this perfect two roads coming together for me. Even more than two roads, multiple roads, like a crazy intersection. But yeah, we talk about spirituality, and the company is consecrated to God. The intention that I feel they have, the intention that they share so openly, is it's not about any particular religion or any particular belief system. It's about every single soul that we can help. We want to help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how freaking lucky are we that we get to work for a company like this?
Absolutely. And you don't have to spend more than just a few minutes with Maricarmen or Alfonso. And you know that it's completely real,
Authentic. It's authentic.
sincere. I mean, this is not their company. They will tell you that this is not their company. As Maricarmen says, they are just the administrators. They're the stewards.
I mentioned this in episode 1 about mentors. You know, I've always been of the school of thought that anyone can be my mentor. If they have something, if they're doing something that I see as a best practice, tag, you're a mentor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I fangirl over her. I mean, this is me fangirling over someone. Initially, my appreciation for her doesn't even stem from anything to do with Qualfon, anything to do with mission, anything to do with, you know, Cuatrocienegas, all these things we're going to get into. But my appreciation for her came from meeting her son. I got to work with her son, JP, and, you know, after like 3 days with him, I was like, oh, you know, this is what someone who was raised as well as you can imagine turns out like. Wow. Mm-hmm. I feel that when they talk about the employees and how they love their employees and they pray for their employees, it humbles me. It just humbles me, because I think of when I was in the role that she was in, that is not how I showed up in the world. And I mean, it's humbling. But I know that the next time, if I'm ever in that role again, I'm going to show up so much differently, because she's very inspirational. And so, with no further ado, here is our interview.
Maricarmen, what has it been like seeing Qualfon grow over the last 25 years?
Yes, thank you for this question. It's a big question, but if I answer it in one word, it will be, it's a blessing. Mm. It's a blessing, really, to see Qualfon how it's now growing over 25 years. Speaking a little bit more since the beginning, it's a really great path, like climbing a mountain. The ones who like to hike or to walk, it's a great adventure. Moments of difficult, hard times when you must work hard because of a big stone in front of you. Moments of joy when you see each person of Qualfon family finding their happiness at work and transcending all the difficult moments and joy because of a great faith. That's the most important. Also supporting a lot Alfonso in everything with great joy, because we have all the time since these 25 years, we have had the security that we are doing God's will. That's what makes us strong, really strong. And also many special moments of joy, of difficult also, but many of joy, because when you do God's will, when we feel the confirmation that we are just administrators of God's business, that makes us really strong commitment and strong effort, and that's what motivates us to do our best. We are always together since we were dating. We had the great dream to do our best, always walking together. We always speak about this since we were dating together, the three, and we always put God between us, God, Alfonso, and I. And even though we have a small like letters that we write always in our cards, in our work. When I start working in the day, I put the date, and I always put capital M / capital D / and capital P. That is Maricarmen, God, and Alfonso.
Mm.
Yeah, so that reminds us is maybe something like a signal, right? Like a stop, like a but it's something that that reminds us since we were dating that we are together, and that after almost 8 years of dating, we got married then, and after 3 years we decided to go to Mexico City because we had this great dream of some foundation. Mm-hmm. We didn't know exactly how, where, or what instrument, what business, but we wanted to do something big. So the opportunity was in Mexico City. So we have to leave our city, Monterrey. We were living in Monterrey. We were married here, and we lived here for almost 3 years. And so it was a great moment in our lives because we have to decide to leave Monterrey, where we live, and go to Mexico City. Alfonso was living at Mexico City for 1 month, and we couldn't wait to be separate anymore. So I began to do many boxes and pick up all the things to go to travel to Mexico City with Maricarmen, our oldest daughter that it was 3 years old, and Alfonso 1 year old. It was in 1994. Alfonso was working really hard. We started with 3 or 4 computers and very few pioneers, all of them really great persons. We started in Mexico this way, and Alfonso had to start also to take English lessons so we can speak a better English, to grow also in other states, not only Mexico. And I remember also on Saturdays and Sundays going with Alfonso to the office to be with him while he works with the 2 little ones. There were really hard times. We wanted to live in Polanco. That is a place near the office, a very beautiful place in Mexico City, but we cannot afford that amount of rent. So we decided to live a little bit far. It was Tecamachalco, and we had great times because everything we suffered, we did it with God, together with our kids. And then in that moment, we had also Juan Pablo was born in 1995 and Jose Andres in 1997. So we were there in Mexico with our 4th kids and Alfonso and I. And we decided to make also our mission for our family because we have too much work at Qualfon that we didn't want to miss anything about our formation. We didn't want to miss the formation of our children, and we know that Qualfon was demanding a lot of Alfonso's time especially, and I was just supporting him, and we decided to make our mission, our particular mission for our family, so we can have our minds very connected and not to spread away. After 1997 and in 90, we have having very difficult times because the other persons, we share the company with other owners also in different percentage, and they always are maybe taking more money out instead of putting inside in the company, and we need to continue praying to ask God what he wants for us to stay at Qualfon, but we needed to have more security, more being transcending, more helping more persons. That's the ones that was our great dream. So in that time, In 1999, something special happened that I was in Monterrey because my mother was really sick at the hospital. I was speaking with Alfonso during the day, during the night, so how he's at Mexico, because it was hard for us to be separate. And then one night he called me very excited because he received, praying the rosary, the answer that we both were asking months ago to go to God. So he received a clear message to continue in Qualfon, and things will get better. So I was really happy, struggling also for that moment, but I tell Alfonso to count on me at everything that this decision required. We have to put all our things to give them for the support of buying more percentage of the company. And many things happen to have Qualfon at 100% in our God's hands. But we knew since the beginning that were not our hands, that were God's hands. And we were only the administrators, the apostles of God. So we were very in peace, besides the difficult moments to pay to each person that work at Qualfon and to keep growing. But we have this peace that it was God's wills, and we were only his administrators. I am thinking right now that is like walking with great faith, like Peter in the water.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes, following Jesus. And sometimes we were afraid and maybe getting inside the water, but God is always there with us, was and is always with us to give his hand and take us where he needs us to be. So many times we went to that Basilica of Guadalupe, Marisol, that you told us, and that we were there with many persons of Qualfon at the summit. We went there many times, Alfonso and I, to pray, to ask Virgin of Guadalupe and Jesus to help us, because we need to pay everyone and we didn't want to have them missing their salary. Mm-hmm. So she always was with us, helping us. It's amazing how Qualfon became a consecrated company. Then that rest moment came as we consecrated us since dating, and then our family. Now we consecrated Qualfon as the Qualfon family. And this is something really big, that you have to be part of this great family to understand it. You have to be a member of this family to understand the deep meaning that this consecrated means. It's really something great, something you feel, something you have to live, and how the person is the most important of everything in Qualfon. Being the best BPO, making person's life better. So it's a great miracle how Qualfon began to grow outside Mexico. That was amazing for Alfonso and for me, how suddenly, with a lot of effort, Qualfon was in Costa Rica, in Guyana, in the United States, in Philippines. So for me, being with Alfonso at each moment was really great. We lived together, suffering moments with great faith and glorious moments with great faith also. I support with love and care and pray, of course, because we are sure that this is the hard rock for Qualfon family.
I get emotional. I knew I was going to cry in this podcast because I know the pain and suffering of meeting a payroll. My ex-husband and I had a company, and we started almost right when Qualfon started. And obviously we're divorced, so it didn't go the same way. But I think that first time I cried when I saw you up there was because I was so humbled with the realization that I didn't have the experience that you and Alfonso are bringing to Qualfon, to the employees, how you carry us in your heart. I mean, you could see it on your face, how you pray for us and how you really, truly live this mission to make everyone's life better. I felt unworthy. I was like, oh. And it was very, very humbling for me.
Yes, thank you. No, it's because we really feel everyone as part of our family, and we care for each one, taking care of the one that is suffering for any reason. So please have this everyone in their minds and in their heart, that you are always in our prayers.
That's not the typical story of owners. That's what makes you and your husband so incredibly unique, which makes Qualfon so incredibly unique and like no other BPO out there. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. And we have many other specific dates and specific moments in the book, Answering the Call. So maybe you can also read this book and you will find many special moments.
My first day with Qualfon, I had been part of Center Partners, which is a company that Qualfon had acquired. I had been with them for a number of years and actually left. And I had an opportunity to come back right after Qualfon had acquired Center Partners. So this is back in the summer of 2014. And my very first day, I met Roberto. And I knew right away that Qualfon was a different company. And you use the word family, and it really is like a family. And that's one of the great blessings of working for this company. You talk about the consecration, this is a consecrated company. You all are the administrators, you're the stewards of this company. And that's completely different than any company I had ever worked for. And to me, that's what makes it such a wonderful company to work for. And I just wanted you to know that. That's a special thing. And those of us that get to work here and have had the chance to meet you and Alfonso, it's a blessing because this is not something that you find very often. Well, I've never found it at working at any other company. So it's a wonderful thing. Now, I do have one question. Marisol mentioned that she's worked with JP. I work with JP quite a bit now, actually. And a few years ago, I worked with Alfonso Jr. quite a bit. So I know two of your sons fairly well. What has it been like, or how do you feel about having your kids working at the company?
Thank you, Remy. Yes, family is the best, is the number one preoccupation and number one occupation during each day of my life. Yes, since I was pregnant, each one of our kids, Alfonso and I, were really in charge of giving the best opportunities for them to transcend, to be the best way to see the life, ascending, of course, giving great love every day and great faith to each one of them. And also is really amazing, and is really great because Alfonso and I always pray to God since we were pregnant to, it can be like not too important. But for us, it was really important to have, very smart boys, smart children in faith, in intelligence, because since the beginning, when we were married, we wanted to have too many kids. Yes, and we didn't have the possibilities to have too many kids. So we say, well, that will not be a limit. So we will ask God to give them a very good intelligence so they can have scholarships and they can study in good universities so they can be really good ones and really give all their talents helping others. So that was very important for us. And to really, since we were pregnant, to think big for our kids. And now that we have our oldest kids, because we have 4 that are 3 that are finished the university, Alfonso, Maricarmen, and Juan Pablo. They finished the university with really great grades, and besides grades, best knowledge great experience. They wanted to, I remember Maricarmen telling me, I want this teacher for this subject. And my friends are telling me that, no, Maricarmen, why do you use this one? That one is very difficult, and he's always asking too much work. And she says, that's why I want that one, you know? So I'm really amazing in how they are in love of the knowledge, in love of getting the best they can do, not for the grades, but besides for the knowledge. And to really, what we always tell to our kids is to do their passion, to study what really get in love with the decision that they are studying a career, because they are really in passion of that. And we started, since they were really young, a plan. We call it a life plan. And a life plan is what you also are trying to do with each person at Qualfon Family, with the scholarship and with the letter, right? And in the mission office.
And it makes total sense then when you see our mission statement, which is to help individuals pursue their total vocation. And we even have our Stairway program that helps people develop their career and make future plans.
So with our kids, we also do that. And we establish their goals each scholar year, and so they can always be very focused in what they wanted. And it's amazing how this is very good, because they start to getting knowledge of themselves since very young. And I know that I'm good for this, but I know that I'm weak in this, so I have to work hard. But especially get effort in the strong ones, because the strong ones will take the weak ones to go strong, right? Mm-hmm. So if you point the strong ones, the things that you have weak will be great. So now it's very important for us, the blessing having Maricarmen as an architect working in several transcendental projects of the family. Is really amazing to see her how, and he put all the passion and he put all the love in so many projects that we have encouraged her, like the project a very big project in Cuatrocienegas, in our family, our own house, the passion she puts in everything she does. And also to have Juan Pablo and Alfonso working at Qualfon Family is a blessing that makes Alfonso and I feeling fulfilled. How they prepare so professional, and how becoming a part of Qualfon Family is really good, because we give them the decision, so they can decide. We already give you the opportunity to be in a good school, and you decide to make it strong, because they make this decision, right? And we do it even though with Francisco, that is our smaller son. For example, sometime when he was 11, we were having a praying, and we were thanking God for all he has given, and asking God that Francisco's decisions were good. And then Francisco interrupted us, and he told me, "Which decision, Mama? You don't let me have a cell phone. You don't let me have an iPad." And we interrupted him and said, "You decide when you enter to a classroom, and you decide to do your best in that, taking that schedule, and you decide to do your best in a soccer game, and that's why we change our children's mind, because many persons, you can make the decision, okay, I will be my best because I want to take that medal. Or, Mom, what are you going to give me if I do my best? And we always answer them, how can you ask that? If you are doing your best and you have a good grade, what do you feel? I feel great. Okay, then that's the goal, that you feel great, that you feel comfort, that you are learning a lot. And it's amazing now having all of them working at Qualfon, doing their best is they working hard in a humble way. That is very important because it's also one of our values in our family mission. Also, Jose Andres, you know that Jose Andres is our fourth kid, and he's studying to be a priest. So he's also very special and a very important part of the Qualfon family. As preparing to be a priest, he's always near us, supporting with his prayers and his advice that help us a lot. We speak with him, and when we have some time, that he have time also in his formation, we can speak by 5 hours. Continue, because he has always too many advices to tell us. Yes. And Ana Sofia and Francisco are as well preparing hard, studying with excellence. So this is a great support for us, knowing that they soon will be involved also in Qualfon projects, because they are really involved. They see their brothers and sisters that are doing great. Really thanks to God that our children are prepared and will always continue getting information, because it's always also in our mission to have a continuous formation, because we always have to be prepared for more, to be the best administrators of God's dream at Qualfon.
Can I just say what a beautiful family you have at Summit when you were all up there, and there was a moment that there was a presentation about the succession, which we'll have a whole podcast about the succession, and we have a whole podcast coming up about the consecration. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot about our company. That's a lot to talk about, but to see your family up there all together, everyone was emotional. You could feel the love. And I could tell you one thing, I would venture a guess that almost everyone in that audience wished that they were part of your family. You could do without us. Because it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. So you mentioned Cuatrocienegas, and we have yet on the podcast to really talk about it and share with the audience anything about it. So this might be the perfect opportunity for you to tell us about Cuatrocienegas and how Qualfon and the mission serves it.
Yes, of course, Marisol. Yes, it's very transcending Cuatrocienegas. We have a great mission at Cuatrocienegas. We want to transform the community in fulfilled persons, putting a special attention in the new generations. As a family, we always have in our mission also to attend others' necessities. As you know, I always mentioning the mission in our family because it's our center, it's our heart. As Qualfon mission is the heart in Qualfon, is the same for us. So it's very important for us in our mission to attend other necessities, to share what we have received. We started in 2005, going to Cuatrocienegas to do mission work and share our faith with others. We have learned a lot, sharing our time and our faith with them, but especially we learned we needed to do more. That's what we learned more in these 12 years that we were going in Holy Week, in maybe in Christmas, in summer, in different moments, we were going to Cuatrocienegas, and what we realized after 12 years of going is that we were happy. We were happy, and we realized in 2016 that we were doing good. But when we finished our mission in that Holy Week of the 2016, we realized we received a direct message also that we have to do more. Besides sharing our faith, we were also taking care of health from the people, and we take doctors, dentists, from the eyes, from all health, from all the different specialists. And we were thinking that we kept going and going to Cuatrocienegas, and the needs were always the same, were always more. And maybe we see one baby walking by itself one time, and when we came back, like 2 months later, this baby was in a wheelchair. And why? I asked her mother why she was in a wheelchair, and she told me that he didn't put the vaccine that was supposed to have the baby at the 3 years old, and that's why he got this disease. So it was really hard to hear this, and that's why we decided to learn how to live, to be more close to them, because we have to teach the baby that vaccines are important, to register the baby also in the security, and that's why Alfonso and I, and a great team with Roberto, with Ivan, with many persons that right now are more than 15 at Cuatrocienegas, we dream Cuatrocienegas Plan 2040. And it's 2040 because in that time we are dreaming to have this baby, because we begin in 2017 since January, and we keep adding each day all the babies that born since January 2017. Now we have more than 700 children to take care. And to take care of a children is not only the baby. You have to take care of the mother, of the father. If they have brothers and sisters, also you must take care of them. So it's a huge mission. It's a very big project, and we need more persons to keep helping with this. We teach them to live and to have the same opportunities we have to study and transcend in their lives. This is amazing how they are not able to dream, because they need to think only in find food to survive or find a work. They live day by day. So we need to help them. And with many organizations, of course, Qualfon, the first one, we are helping in 4 big pillars. These pillars are family, health, education, and work. And you cannot take care of a baby without taking care of his health, his family, his education, and the work that his father can have to support all the family. So imagine all this for more than 700 babies, the great responsibility, the great work. And why we are doing this? Because we want to help as many people as possible. This is our mission in Qualfon also. You know that first at Qualfon Family, first with our members, we have to take care of each one of our members and their families, also their communities in all of our centers, of our call centers. That's why we are taking care of Cuatrocienegas, because it's really near us. It's Alfonso's natal place also. That's why we are taking care. And we are doing so well in making everything with excellence. You know, with this team that I speaking to you, Ivan and Andres, Joaquin, many persons that are involved in Cuatrocienegas Plan 2040, we are making this with excellent process, with all the help of Qualfon Family, because what we want is we can very soon open more Plan 2040, more of them at all of the places we have our call centers. We want to sincerely thank every person. I really want everyone that is hearing this message and everyone part of the Qualfon family. I really want to thank, because you all have to know and feel very proud because of your daily hard work. You are helping many kids and their families to reach their dream and be fulfilled persons, as is one of you at Qualfon want us to be your fulfilled persons. And the more we work with better results, the more babies and families all over the world we can help.
Again, I'm humbled by just the idea of changing the world for the better. Seems so Pollyanna to say it, but to actively participate and do it and work for a company that does it is just, use the word you've used often, transformative. it makes a difference. You become obsessed. We talk a lot about our family, the employees, but also our clients and the clients' customers and everyone in the circle of how everything that we're doing goes back to this center core of trying to make the world a better place. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. I feel I can speak for Jeremy. He's grateful to be a part of it. And that's amazing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, really, because everyone in the Qualfon family is doing really great to take care of each one of us, first of our members, then of our community. So we have to keep doing always the best BPO so we can take care of many persons and make fulfilled persons.
Thank you, Maricarmen. I appreciate it.
I'm really excited. I'm very happy to be with you and to be the message for everyone at Qualfon Family. And really, in the future of Qualfon, I think it will be great for all the persons that belong to this family. Thanks to each person, I'm sure we are going to have a great future. We have a great present today, besides all the difficulties we always have, because we always have difficult times. Right now, we are living some difficult times also. But we are a family and we are all doing our best. So I think we are having a great dream come true. And the great dream for us, for Qualfon, is God's dream, is God's will. And because we are only the administrators of this huge dream, is that we all have to do always our best, always in the smallest thing we do, in the ordinary things we do each day, to make them extraordinary, in an extraordinary way. That's my humble message to each one. And Alfonso and myself dream is take care of each person of you that belong to this family, Qualfon family, so everyone can be a fulfilled and happy person and help as many persons as possible. Yes, and I remember also the reading in Matthew 13, the reading of the seed of mustard. Yes, that is a very small seed, and it grows like a very big tree. Mm-hmm. And in this moment, I don't know why this image came to my mind, because I think everyone in Qualfon family is this small seed, that with this seed they give each day his or her effort. We now have a big tree, and all the effort they do to work hard is, maybe they can think sometimes, all my effort to work hard is very few, or maybe I'm the only one, or maybe it's very small or very little. But I want to tell everyone, as Jesus told everyone of us, that Jesus told us, you are this mustard seed. This seed will grow very big and will help many persons as you cannot imagine. So I want to thank everyone, because everyone is this small seed that is getting bigger and bigger each day.
Maricarmen, we appreciate you being with us today, and we really appreciate your message that you shared. Thank you.
Wow, Jeremy. I'm so excited she was our 10th episode. It just feels special, and we didn't even cover everything about Cuatrocienegas. There's so much more to share. There's an environmental aspect. We'll do a whole podcast on Cuatrocienegas, I'm sure. But I'm just so grateful for all the leadership in our company, including Maricarmen.
And she's just a very humble, down-to-earth person. When you meet her in person and talk with her, she's just a really good person. And you sense that around her and around Alfonso. They're just good people.
I can't wait to meet her in person, and I can't wait to give her just like a big hug. Well, thank you to all the listeners who have joined us for this podcast. Please remember, our intention was just to share the wonderful things about Qualfon. If you are just joining us, we humbly suggest you start at episode 1 with a discussion on Mission Qualfon. And remember, you can catch us on most all podcasting platforms, and you can definitely find all our podcasts on our website at www.qualfon.com. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mission Qualfon. Remember, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Mission Qualfon.